first, I want to just talk to you about a class that I took. Remember when I went to Seattle? And one of the teachers talked about her generosity, and she was very generous, she said, about material items and abundance. She was very gentle about that, generous about that. But what she was less than generous about, what she was stingy with, were her ideas. She was stingy with her ideas, she said. And I was reminded of my son Rafe, who was maybe 8 or 9, who had this idea, and it was really a great idea. You know, our kids teach us. This was a wonderful idea, and I said to him, be careful who you share that with. That's such a wonderful idea. You don't want someone to steal your idea. And he said to me, 8, 9, Mom, there are always ideas. There are limitless ideas. And that's the truth. There are limitless ideas. We've been talking in this Troward class about the ethers. Troward said that science has disproved the ethers, but now look, we've come back to that whole concept that there is something that we can't see. I kind of liken it to the internet cloud. Now, I fully understand that there is a physical place that is the cloud, but let's disqualify that whole concept and not argue about the semantics of it. I'm thinking of the cloud, the ethers. And there are limitless ideas floating around the ethers. Limitless. Now, who do those ideas belong to? You can't patent an idea. You can't copyright an idea because no one owns an idea. But what is it that is seeking expression through you other than ideas? And as Rafe pointed out to us, there are limitless ideas. So, our job is to be an open vessel for those ideas to move through us, because that is God moving through us, using us as channels for good. Now, what seeks expression through you? There are two ways that essence, that divine it, life, God, spirit, whatever language you want to use, can move through you and express through you. The first is what I call accidental purpose. That something that causes us to be present at a particular time and place, that's something that causes us to take a particular action, perhaps, that we hadn't planned on, or to speak a particular word that doesn't actually belong to us. Accidental purpose. To be present in a way that God is absolutely moving through us. I know that each one of you has an example of that you can relate to. How God spoke through you, through you, expressed through you. And then the second way is that overriding purpose, that perhaps we came here to express, to be the channel for whatever God wishes to use us for. Use me. Oh, divine, use me. So how do we connect with that? It's not over for us. It's always wanting to expand and move and take action through us. No matter what we're doing, no matter how old we may be, that energy that wishes to use us, to express through us, is always in action. But a lot of times, we miss the cues. A lot of times, we fail to take action. We talked about several weeks ago, I'm not sure, maybe last week, I'm not absolutely sure, about how the patent office in 1 week's time receives all of these patents that are so similar. Well, that's not like an accident. They even have to time mark them about when they came into the patent office, as far as who gets to own the patent for anything. The divine has a plan for something, whatever it may be. The divine has a plan for something, and people have caught that plan and put it into action. How many of us have said, no need to raise your hand, or you can if you want. How many of us have said, oh, I had that same idea? That Robert's got his hand up. All of us have at one time, right? We go, I had that idea. And what happens? We fail to take action on it, right? Or we don't have the technology skills, or we don't have the resources, or we don't have everything necessary. But a whole gob of people got that idea, and many of them expressed it. Because the universe, God, it, life, is not going to be ignored. So you can ignore it, I can ignore it, but it's going to keep at us, keep at us, keep at us, keep at us, until somebody catches it and puts it into action. Because it is an idea whose time has come, as they say. It is an idea that the universe wants to express. And the only way that that can happen is through us, through me, through you. And so if we come with an assigned purpose, and we fail to act on it, our lives are maybe not as whole and complete as we would like for them to be. I love to be with my kids, and that's where I was this week. Each one of them came, obviously, with a divine purpose. And it's so wonderful to see how the creative energy has worked through each one of them. My daughter, Shay, always always, always, always wanted to be an interior designer. And her whole life was in alignment with that. And she's had different permutations of that calling, but she's never veered from it. She and her partner just bought a house. And oh my goodness, that's going to be a place. Because he has that same calling to be creative. It's going to be wonderful. And her work is creative too, in that same way, in design. Hale, my oldest son, he had, when he was young, a whole village that he created every night before he went to sleep of recycled materials. And he also is building a house. He's going to build a house. And guess what? It's going to be green. Green to the max. Because that's what he's called to do. To be involved with recycling. Even before that was a common thought. And Rafe, my youngest son, how do I explain Rafe? He's the guy that gets around everybody. He reads people, he knows people, and he knows what to say to sell them. He's been selling me his whole life, and he's just like an amazing salesman. And the thing about it is, he doesn't sell anybody anything. He listens. And then he knows exactly what people are called to receive. He packages everything up and gives it back to them in a way that they are thrilled with. He'd be, I guess, what you would call a soft salesman. But a salesman he is. And he's filled with humor. Well, all my kids are. And he always knew how to get around me. Because when I would get angry or discipline him, he would make me laugh invariably. Which I have to tell you is the most aggravating thing. How many of you have had that experience of being really, really angry, got yourself worked up into a good rage, and then you have to laugh? Oh, that really makes you mad. And then I watch my grandson, Miles, who is 6 years old, and he comes home from school every day and puts on a new costume. Now, these are not homemade, pretend costumes. These are full-blown identities. Every day after school, he costumes himself and he takes on a new persona. Now, what do you think that's going to end up looking like when he gets older? He's so much fun to watch. Because he'll walk down the street, just be walking down the street, and his mind is totally somewhere else, being absolutely something else. So he's trying on those personas. He's shopping around for who he's going to be and what inspiration he's going to express when he gets older. So when we talk about what seeks to express through you, and we probably have lost connection with that, because I found by personal experience and observation that my openness to creative inspiration, my openness to allow the imagination of the universe to express through me has become more and more and more narrow. Have you had that experience? How many of you have pretended in that way as a child that you took on a persona and became it? And how long's it been since you've actually done that? We get more and more narrow in our awareness and our openness to the divine inspiration that we came here to be. So what do? I bet you all can guess what my recommendations might be. First, meditate. Because that's the place and the space that the universe speaks to us. That's the channel that we keep open, and we have to keep pushing it open. That expression of creativity comes to us and through us when we meditate. For me, new ideas come first thing in the morning, and I know that I have been conversating with the divine. And so these ideas just are there in the morning when I awaken to them. Do I jump on them? Not as often as I should. But meditating tends to open that space to allow more of the divine idea to flow through us, a channel through us. The second thing that we can do is to journal. I know, every week I stand up here and I say it, don't I? Meditate, journal. Meditate, journal. When we journal, it doesn't have to be beautiful, it doesn't have to be poetic, and it doesn't have to be spelled right, and it doesn't have to be grammatically correct. What we do is catch ideas. What we do is notice trends. So when we begin to notice trends, that sort of allows the universe to say, oh, she's paying attention, he's paying attention. I'll just flow a few ideas into that mix and see what happens. The third thing that we can do is what I mentioned about my children, my adult children, who happen to be magnificent. The third thing we can do is we can remember and we can recall what was alive within us when we were 6, 7, 8. There are clues there. What was it that you thought you would do when you were that age? What did you think that you would become? Those are the natural talents that the universe has gifted you with. And even though we maybe didn't jump on them then, it's never too late. They're those seeds of skills and abilities and longing of the universe to express through you, whatever it was. So meditating, journaling, and remembering what it was that was alive within you before all of life started pushing down on you and against you. And then the fourth thing is just to, this is so easy and so much fun, just start keeping a scrapbook. A scrapbook of ideas, going through magazines and ripping things out that please you. What is this article about? What is this picture about? What does this represent? You know, the visioning board concept. And in time, maybe at the end of the year, maybe once a month, once a week, who knows? Going through those things that you have gathered and collected and notice what the trends are, because there will be clues there about what wants to express through you. And that's your unique fingerprint, if you will, of life wanting to be expressed through you. And it's never, ever over. It's not over. Until the hearse comes. Always, 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 that need to express through you uniquely. I love the line of Fillmore, Charles Fillmore, who was the founder of Unity, who said at his 92nd year, I fairly sizzle with the excitement of the things that are mine to do next. We got a sizzle here. We got a lot of sizzling to do. So, as we listen, life, the universe, the divine, has something to tell you and something to move through you. Something to give you an opportunity to be alive throughout life. Something is wishing to express through you uniquely. How exciting. And just like I'm going to wait for watching my grandson show up as who he is, I'm going to watch and look and see you all, each one of you, showing up as who you really are. Because I love you all so much. Namaste.
Namaste.
So let's invite the practitioners to stand and let's just hold the consciousness and let the universe flow. All paths are now open, all channels are now free, and the whole wide universe says yes to me. Yes, my beloved. This I pour forth through you. This is what I wish you to express on my behalf. This is what you are born to be and do. How thrilling. How exciting. How magnificent. The universe will not be stopped will not be squelched, will not be limited. If we don't do it, it will not get done in our particular permutation, but it will be done. Thy will be done. I would just assume it be done through me than something or someone else. Because I want to ride the excitement of it. I want to ride the joy of it. I want to ride the fullness and the richness of the expression of the divine through me. So I open myself to the energy of the universe. I open myself to the ideas, the joy, the laughter, and the humor of the universe. I know that God fills me with all that I need. The right resources, the dynamic energy, the dynamic good health, ideas overflowing endlessly for my expression, my unique expression of God. The good. And so right this moment, I say yes. And I say thank you, Mother, Father, God, Spirit. Thy will be done through me as me. And so it is.
So it is.